Okay. Let's do the ADC tier list for patch 14.11. I think we'll just go through them in the tier, in the the place I put them. So I guess we can just go ahead and start with Varus.
Doesn't get better than this.
I think I would put Varus somewhere between probably in B tier, kind of just in the middle. I think he's still a good lane bully. He's fine on hit. He's fine lethality. He is pretty versatile. Has a lot of good matchups. He's pretty good into Draven. He's pretty good into like Jinx. He's pretty good into Xayah. He's pretty good into Kalista. Kind of skill matchup. This has a lot of like... Okay, you guys want to say hello to YouTube? Okay, say hello to YouTube. I'm sure Tar will put you guys in. Speaking of, if you haven't subscribed already, go subscribe to the YouTube channel. I think he got a little bit better this patch because crit items got nerfed and he doesn't buy crit items. And as a result, it indirectly makes him stronger. It's a concept that I always try to talk about all the time. Even if a champion doesn't get directly changed, they can get indirectly better by the other champions that they compete against gets a little bit worse. I think Varus B tier. Yasuo. Yasuo I think is pretty bad. I think he also got nerfed this patch with IE nerf. I think Yasuo suffers a lot from the removal of lethal tempo. And he also suffers a lot from shield bow being quite a bad item. I remember on the first days of 14.10, Yasuo had like a 46% win rate. I'm not sure what it is now. It looks like it's quite a bit better now. But I really think he doesn't have like such a great build that like I think he was really OP last patch, or not last patch, but in 14.9 before the crit changes. He just had a really good build. He had lethal tempo, you know, was really strong. His win rate doesn't look too bad, but definitely don't think... He still has some good matchups in bot, but I don't know if I would put him higher than C tier. I think maybe I'd leave him in C tier for now, with potential to move up to B tier. I don't think he's D tier. Potential to move up. C tier for now. Tristana, I think I kind of underestimated Tristana maybe. I don't remember exactly where I placed her, but she seems to be pretty good. She's definitely better in mid lane, I believe. Like, she's being played a lot in mid lane, in high elo, and in like competitive games, while in solo queue, I think she's still a good option bot lane, but I don't think Tristana can really be any higher than B tier. She's a situationally strong ADC with better matchups a lot of the time in mid lane, which I think warrants a B tier for me, at least. If she can jump in, for me the general rule is if Tristana can jump in and she has nothing to be scared of, the champion is really overpowered because you can snowball so hard. Against a lot of champions in bot lane, against a lot of melee supports, Tristana cannot just jump in because she just dies, right? While on mid lane, a lot of the time she can just jump in, because like if she's playing against a mage or playing against any champ, she just jumps in and wins the trade 1v1. Tristana is a very strong 1v1 champ, but in 2v2s, she requires her support kind of to set her up a little bit more, but she still has good matchups and has a good scaling. Then we have Nilah. Nilah's a tough one for me, to be honest. Nilah's a really tough one for me because I do not believe that I have seen her a single game on the new patch, either against or played it. I was planning to play it, but then there was so many other champions that I ended up playing instead that I never really got around to it. She has a fine win rate, and I believe she had a fine win rate last patch as well, but I don't think she's any higher than B tier. You could argue for A tier, but I feel like she's so situational that B tier feels more appropriate. I feel like she has her places in the draft where she can be really OP if they have like very little CC. If you have something like a Sona or Senna, I think Nilah's pretty good. I think Nilah's a good pick to your pool in general if you feel like you don't have anything to play when your support looks in Sona, Senna, Soraka. These like healing enchanter supports or these selfish supports. Nilah's very good with selfish supports because she gives them more XP and she also buffs their healing. B tier for me, I think. B tier for me. Quite a niche champ. Can be better depending on the draft. Then we have Lucian. A lot of people were trying to tell me that Lucian is good. I believe he's not. I think he's a lot weaker, both with Nami and without Nami. Is he C tier? Can I say that he's C tier? Maybe he's not C tier. 51, I mean, that's not bad. Maybe he goes into B tier too, but I'm putting every champion into B tier right now. It's fine, I mean, now be B tier, I think. I feel like the problems that I have with Lucian on current patch is that you can either go Kraken Slayer or Essence Reaver first, but neither of them feel great. Feels like he doesn't benefit as much of the crit changes that other ADCs did. He has so little range. Just has so little range. Just feels so... I don't think static is good on Lucian anymore. Because how you would play static Lucian before is you just like, you'd auto the wave, then Q it, and the wave is gone. But now you need to like Q the wave, then you need to like auto the creep that's like low in the backline. And then it's like, maybe that doesn't even kill the, like, it won't even kill the melee minions. Then it's like, I don't know, the new static is really clunky. Let's see, I mean, maybe the stat, I mean, I think the new static, for me, it seems like it's only good on Zeri so far. That's my feeling so far. Yeah, we'll leave Lucian in B tier for now, and we can reconsider it later. I think Kog'Maw. I have not seen this champion at all. There are a lot of champions that I feel like are kind of untouched in AD role recently. His win rate is surprisingly quite high. It's risen quite a bit. I guess Kog'Maw does benefit the same thing that I was talking about Varus, in that when crit items get nerfed, Kog'Maw gets better because he's competing against a lot of other crit champs. I do think if you have like Amelia or Braum, definitely Kog'Maw is A tier. But if you don't have Amelia or Braum, he can even fall down to C tier, I think. But B tier? No. I think he's B tier though. But I can't just put every ADC in B tier. But maybe it's just like this was how the list started, you know? The list started with a lot of champions that need to be B tier. That's just how a list starts sometimes. Because I feel like he's too situational to be higher than B tier. And there's not enough tanks that are being played for me to want to put him A tier, I think. That's kind of the vibe I have right now. I think B tier. I think B tier. And then we have Zeri. A bit better this patch, I think, with Static Rush. Seems like Static is the best first item on her. It's what I played as well. I can't really put her B tier, no? But can I put her A tier? Would I want to say she's A tier, though? I don't know if I'd want to say she's A tier. I mean, there's definitely an argument. Like, 52% win rate with Static is pretty good. I mean, Kog'Maw had higher win rate. I think we can put her A tier. I think I need more testing on her. And Fleet seems to be the rune to go. Okay, we can put her in A tier for now. We can put her in A tier. The caveat that I might move her down, depending on, like, if I see the, like, once I see the other champions that I put her in A tier with, if I feel like she doesn't belong, I'm gonna move her down. Then we have Samira. I think Samira is kind of bad right now, but maybe I'm wrong and she's kind of bad in high elo, but maybe she's better in low elo. Even in low elo, I feel like they kind of over nerfed her. Like at the start of 14.10, she seemed pretty crazy, but now, actually, yeah, she got really nerfed now that I think about it. Because, okay, so first Samira get hotfix nerfed, then they nerf Collector IE, Samira's core items. I think that's a C tier. I think if you have a duo Q support that plays Rel, Nautilus, really good engage supports, I think Samira can be better. If you are playing solo Q, and you have a 50-50 chance that your support locks in Senna, Soraka, Sona, champ's ass. This champ is fucking ass. And I think kind of over nerfed. I don't, in my opinion, she didn't even need to get hotfix nerfed. I don't think she was OP. It's always very different if a champion needs to snowball. Because if you have a support that doesn't help you as a scaling ADC, you can just farm minions and you can still be useful later on. You just farm minions as Samira. Have you guys ever seen someone that had like a good win rate on Samira that was 10 CS per minute and didn't get any kills, you know? Like, you see that shit on Jinx, you see that shit on Kog'Maw. You don't see that shit on Samira, you know? With Samira, you gotta fight. You gotta fight. Get kills. Like Katarina of ADC. Okay, and then MF. Misfortune. I believe she should be a bit weaker this patch because of the same reason as Samira, that Collector IE got nerfed, which was the build I was thinking was best on MF. Let's see if the win rate corresponds to my thoughts. They do. She dropped 1% win rate. Would I say she's C or B tier? Definitely not higher than here. I would probably say she's B tier, I think, but low B tier, I think. She's better than Samira Yasuo because she's easier to win the lane. She has less obvious weaknesses, but she's just kind of like, I don't know, not that strong. Not that strong, I think. And then we have Hwei. So Hwei got nerfed this patch, but I think he's still really good. I haven't actually checked his win rate. The win rate drop was quite big, actually. But he still has really good win rate on bot lane. But very low pick rate on bot lane. But I do feel pretty comfortable putting Hwei in A tier. I think Hwei is still one of the best mages you can play in bot lane. Why? So I think Hwei is one of the best mages to play in bot lane because he has some of the best laning phase. Does essentially, think of Hwei kind of like a Ziggs, but he actually can kill people 2v2 in lane, which most other mages can't. Most other mages, if you die to them early game, it's probably because, I don't know, your ego got bruised or you fell off your chair. One of the two things happened. While Hwei actually has a lot of damage early game, he has CC from himself that can set up his support, or his support he lands the CC and then you get CC chain for so long that you die. So I think he's still really good. I think I'm pretty sure I had him S tier. I had him S tier in my previous tier list, and now for me I think he probably falls down to A, due to the fact that he got nerfed, and also Blackfire Torch got hotfix nerfed. That was last patch though, but still think he's pretty solid. Still think he's pretty solid. Brand. I think Brand also was really, really OP. I think he's still pretty good on bot lane. Still pretty good on bot lane. Kind of like a niche pick though. Could even say he's S tier, but I don't think he's S tier. I think he's A tier. I think Brand is like really good with Nami. It's really good with engage supports. Really solid all around, really. It's just a good AP option if you play the champ. I think while we're doing mages, I think we can do Karthus. Karthus A tier as well. I think all the mages for me are A tier. I don't think any of them are S tier right now after the Blackfire Torch hotfix. For me, all these are really good. They all have pretty good laning phases, which is a contrast to like Seraphine and Ziggs. I think I have much weaker laning phases. Let's just do all the mages while we're at it. Ziggs, I think B tier, just kind of fine. Just has a weaker laning phase than these champs, but has better wave clear. But these champions also have good wave clear. So yeah. Seraphine, I think C tier. I think this champion is pretty bad. Worse than all these other mages. I think it's like, if it has a good niche of like being a supportive mage, and in filling that niche, it can be higher. But if you were to just play this every game and you don't have a good team comp to buff up, I do think she always has like a decent win rate, but I think that's because she's just super easy to play. It's like one of the easiest mages to play bot lane because you can just Q waves and then press W on your team. Which, if you want to do that, Seraphine's a great pick, but not really my playstyle. Then we got Twitch. Twitch, I think falls into A tier for me. I don't think he makes it up to S tier. I do think he's really strong though. I feel like he benefited a lot off of the crit changes. The first strike build that I was testing out was interesting, but it seems like it's probably not the best. I know RatIRL seems to have dropped it. Overall, the champion seems really strong, either with like PTA, Halo Blades, First Strike. You actually have quite a few rune options that all seem pretty solid. And I believe his win rate is pretty decent. Yeah, I mean, Halo Blades is pretty decent. PTA actually has the highest win rate. First Strike is interesting, but it's quite gimmicky, which makes me think that it's maybe not that good, because PTA does give you way better all-in potential and gives you a lot better laning phase, while for First Strike, you're just playing for gold. But it's like, even if you get the gold, if you could have killed them instead, probably PTA is better, no? Aphelios, my beloved. For me, I think he's the A tier. I know he still has probably a pretty bad win rate in solo queue, because he just always does. He always has a bad win rate in solo queue. I feel like he's pretty strong. He got a little bit weaker this patch with the crit items nerf. I tend to skip Collector on Aphelios now and just go Infinity Edge into LDR, into Yuntal or BT or Hurricane, unless I snowball really hard early game, in which case I still like Collector. But I still feel comfortable putting him in an A tier, for sure. I feel like he belongs. I think he has really good snowball potential once you get ahead. His damage with the IE is just so high, even the nerfed IE. He has such 1v9 carry potential. His scaling is just crazy. Like, if you get the 6 items on Aphelios, you're going to win the game. Then we have Ashe. I think Ashe is probably also A tier. I think Ashe got quite a bit stronger this patch with the crit item nerfs. She has a really absurd win rate, which makes me think that I should even put her S tier. But I actually haven't seen any Ashe in high elo. Stat-wise, for sure she's S. But it's weird because her win rate and pick rate is not reflected in like my anecdotal experience of what is strong, because nobody's playing her. Nobody's playing her in high low. But this win rate, I think this win rate and pick rate is too high for me to ignore. I think I'm coping if I put her A tier just because I haven't seen her. Like, this is crazy. This is like Jinx and Ashe. Holy shit, bro. They seem to be the queens of Summoner's Rift right now. So I think S tier for her, just from these stats, really fair. I think it makes sense that she's stronger this patch because she doesn't care much about Collector IE, and a lot of the champions that were kind of good into her got nerfed from Collector IE. Not good into her, but that were being played into her, but nerfed from Collector IE. So she, as a result, gets stronger from that. So it makes sense. She went from 53 to 54. She got like 1% stronger. And then we have Jinx. I'm tempted. I put Jinx C tier on the last tier list. I'm tempted to put Jinx C tier again, but from a realistic viewpoint, Jinx did just get nerfed. She literally got nerfed, but the nerf is really placebo. I think her win rate went down by like 0.5% overall. Like, her win rate went from 53.8 to 53.11. She's still, I think, maybe the best. I think I can still maybe put her Z tier, honestly. Honestly, I think I'm gonna do it. She's still the tippity top. Like, what Ashe has over Jinx is a better laning phase and more CC. What Jinx has is, if you get the 3-4 items, I believe if you have good mechanics and you get the 3-4 items, the game is won. As long as they don't have a really fed assassin or some like insane champ to counter you, it's so easy to carry games with Jinx once you get your items. And getting to your items isn't that hard either, because you have maybe the best wave player in the whole game. Pretty big win-win situation. So yeah, I think Jinx C tier. I think Jinx still Z tier. But she's close with Ashe, I guess. She's close with Ashe. Then we have Jhin. So Jhin got a little bit nerfed from the Collector IE nerfs. I still think he's kind of the GOAT. I think still he's probably here. I think for me, Jhin now is also kind of similar to Aphelios, that if I'm not snowballing, I want to skip Collector, and I just go IE, LDR, Rapid Fire, and then like Yuntal or BT fourth. But if I am snowballing, I like Collector still. But I think skipping Collector is not too bad on this champ. If you're like, especially if enemy has armor. If they have 2 tanks, don't buy Collector. But now I think like before it was kind of, you just went on every champion, you kind of went Collector, IE, LDR. Now I think it's a bit more game specific where you see like, okay, does enemy have a Cassandra? Does enemy have a Sejuani? Does this my team kind of full AD? Are they going to buy a lot of armor? You kind of have to think a little bit more before you build. I feel like this looks right in my head. These 3 champions being on top of solo queue, that really sounds right to me. And then we have Corki. So Corki was a champ that at first I thought it was useless. Then I thought it was really OP. Now I kind of think it's just, I think it's A tier. What I figured out when playing against Corki is that if you do not disrespect him, the champion is not that insane. But I think most people were disrespecting Corki. What I mean by that? What I mean by disrespecting? I mean that you were just like walking up to him, he W's into you, and then he fists you. But if you are actually playing range and then trying to click back when he W's in, a very short range ADC, and he kind of has to burst. If he doesn't get his burst, DPS is very low. So for example, if you're playing Aphelios into Corki and you're playing range and not giving him a good W angle, you can just scale in that lane. And if you're playing Jinx into Corki, you just trap when he W's in, you click back, and then you start playing rockets and hitting the wave. And if you do that, what I found is that Corki falls off pretty hard. I think most people go the full lethality build, and it doesn't scale the best, but it does snowball really hard. But I think as people get better and better playing into Corki, people will start to figure out that he does have weaknesses, and pretty easily exploitable. But he still does have a really strong early game and really good snowballing, which makes me feel like he warrants A tier. But I don't think he warrants anything more than A tier for the reasons I said. And I do think that as people get better at both playing him and playing against him, he might move a bit down in the power ranking for myself personally. But for now, I think A tier is fair for Corki. Then we have Vayne. I might just have to put this bitch in C. I could put her B, but so weak. When was the last time you lost against a Vayne bot lane? I think she's just better in top lane. She has better matchups in top. Maybe low end B is fair. I think C, man. I think C. I think with like the new static, I tried it on Vayne and it felt fucking garbage. Also looking at win rates, it doesn't have particularly good win rates. It seems like Kraken or Bork is the way to go. The Kraken actually is kind of crazy win rate on the Kraken. But overall, I feel like she's struggling to find her place in the meta right now. Doesn't really have a good enough laning phase. She's supposed to be like one of the best dueling ADCs, but she can't actually duel a lot of the crit ADCs without getting a stun, because they just do so much more damage than her. She's a bit of an awkward spot right now, I feel like. Then we have Xayah. I think Xayah is really trash. I've been seeing in Korea that there are people that are having success with her. Trash is a harsh word, but I don't think she warrants anything higher than B tier. I think she got a bit stronger this patch as IE and Collector got nerfed, but she's still not good, I think. She's still not good. I just feel like she doesn't really have a crazy laning phase, doesn't really have crazy scaling. She has a good build variety, kind of like Varus, but she just doesn't feel great, in my opinion. Maybe as someone finds a more crazy build, maybe with static. I actually haven't tried it with static, I've only tried it with Kraken. Things will change, and we'll find out that Xayah is actually really good. For now, I feel like she's B tier. Doesn't really bring much to the table. I think if you really need AP in your team comp, she can be a good pick. But then it's like you could pick a mage, probably better. And if you want to still play an ADC, Xayah can fulfill that for sure. Then we have Xayah. Xayah, I think, is also really weak. I think she suffers a lot from lethal tempo removal, same as Xayah. I think she's really sad about Navori removal. She really liked stacking AD. And she's really sad about the new Kraken not having crit. Overall, she had a really low win rate last patch, and I'm guessing it hasn't gotten too much better. I feel like it's gotten a little bit better. Went up by 1%, but I still think she's struggling to find her place. And it's rare that I ever really want to play Xayah right now. Makes me kind of want to put her C tier. I do think, though, if they go like Vi, if they go full dive comp, a lot of assassin, that Xayah can be really good because she has some of the best self-heal in the game. Realistically, at least for me, I don't know how it is for you guys. Most of the time, I'm picking ADC without seeing many champs. I'm picking it really early in the draft because like top laners want to swap, mid laners want to, supports want to swap. I just pick ADC when I see like 1 or 2 champs from the end. And if I'm doing that, I'm never going to pick Xayah. I just don't see like the Xayah vision. I need to see 4 or 5 champs for me to think that Xayah is going to be a great pick here. And if I'm never getting to see that, that means I'm never playing Xayah. Straight up. Because for me, if I pick Xayah and they pick some long range shit, like if they pick Varus, if they pick Hwei, if they pick like even Hwei mid lane, you know? Like Xayah is so bad into these long range mages because she has no mobility, she has no range, and her like feathers only work if enemy comes into you. So if they outrange you and never interact with your feathers, your champ's kind of useless. Really not a big Xayah fan right now. I think he could use some buffs, to be honest. It's also quite support reliant. Playing Xayah with range supports really suck. Same as Kai'Sa, I guess. Both of those really need engage supports. Otherwise, it's hard to play the laning phase because they need to all in. But just a lot of weaknesses and not a lot of, like, a lot of downsides and not a whole lot of upsides. And then we have Senna. Senna farming. Senna farming. I think not so good. Like, why? You know, why would you play Senna farming? Senna fasting? Probably A tier. Probably A tier. Like Senna Tahm Kench, Senna Sion, Senna Ornn, Senna whatever, you know? Where Senna can just, like, bully the lane and you have a really good scaling champ with her that gets resources. Really strong. But Senna farming? Playing Senna farming? With no souls? Senna with no souls? Just to, like, buy crit? Or, I don't know. It just doesn't really make sense. I think pretty bad. I think D tier. Then Sivir. I think I had her C or D tier in my last list, but she's probably gotten a little bit better. I mean, Essence River got buffed, which helps Sivir. Kind of sad about lethal tempo removal. Seems like Fleet and First Strike are pretty good options though. Any higher than C tier though? Maybe she scratches into B tier. I don't think so. I think high top of C tier was Xayah. I feel like it's pretty deserved. Like, when would I want to play Sivir? I guess I'd want to play Sivir if they go Zeri. Maybe? I'm not sure. I'm not sure when you'd want to play Sivir. Maybe I'm underrating the champ. I'm not a big fan of her. And I think she's just been historically pretty weak. She's good at clearing waves, and that's about it. But then it's like, you could play Jinx, who's good at clearing waves and has 700 range. And whenever she gets a kill, she's Lucian Prime. So I think I'm going to go with Jinx. Yeah, Sivir C tier. Then Smolder. So Smolder I had in GG tier because I thought, you know, he was one of the worst champions in the game. I think win rate wise, he actually had the worst win rate in the game. If we look at 14.10, he had 45% win rate. Some of the lowest win rates in the whole game. But now the buffs he got were pretty damn substantial. And I think it went from him being a win trade champ into him being a kind of bad champ. C tier. Not better than Sivir and Xayah though. You're not even better than Vayne Samira. Low C tier, I think is fair. He has good, decent scaling. Okay, so I played Smolder a few days ago, and the people that tune in for the stream, they'll know, like, what I was talking about the whole stream. So the thing with Smolder, the thing that makes no sense, is that Riot is trying to make him build crit, right? They buffed his critical ratios on his passive and his Q. So hear me out. What is the best crit item? What is the best crit item? Best crit item in the game, I think, is Infinity Edge. A really, really good item. It got nerfed this patch, but I think it's still the best crit item in the game. Boosts your crits by 40% damage. That's a lot, right? You know what doesn't work with Infinity Edge? We want the champion to buy crit, but it can't use the best crit item. That's kind of weird. You know what also doesn't work with Smolder's Q? Yuntal. Oh. Okay. That's another crit item that we can't buy. And you know what I think is the second best crit item in the game? Lord Dominic's Regards. I mean, fair enough. It's 40% armor penetration, 45 AD, 25% crit. It's a really good item. It's kind of bad on Smolder. Smolder does magic damage and true damage. He's not really getting huge value out of the armor pen. So now we have 3 crit items that are kind of wasted on Smolder. And then we got to think to ourselves, okay, so what are our real options for crit items? So our real options are Shield Bow, Essence River, Rapid Fire Cannon, or Navori. None of those sound too crazy. Essence River, I guess, makes a lot of sense, right? He wants CDR, he wants mana. Essence River is good. But the old Essence River was way better. So it's kind of like, feels kind of bad to buy it. He kind of still wants a Sheen. Doesn't get a Sheen with Essence River. I guess he wants to go Trinity Force. So then he goes either Trinity Force or Essence River. And then his second item is Rapid Fire Cannon? I mean, I guess, but it's no AD on it now, and Smolder doesn't really like attack speed. You just have this champion that the way they're trying to balance him doesn't really work that well, because he can't really abuse the items that are good of the class, you know? Like, nobody's complaining about ADC being strong because people are buying Shield Bow and Rapid Fire Cannon, you know? And who's ever said that? People are complaining about ADC being OP because they buy Collector, IE, LDR, and do insane damage. If you do that shit on Smolder, you're not gonna do insane damage. I mean, I guess with your auto attacks, but like Smolder for the autos? Like, what? What are we doing? You know? I think the crit buffs on him were kind of like weird. I think they should just make his Q be able to crit, and it solves all his problems. He can buy Infinity Edge, he can buy Yuntal. He has so much more item options. If it makes him OP, they can just nerf other things. And I think it overall just makes him for a way more coherent experience of building the champ. Because in my head, I was thinking, oh, Smolder has crit ratios, I should buy IE. But then the crit ratios doesn't even work on his Q. So it's really weird. Like most champions that have crit ratios, like Ashe, for example, if you buy IE on Ashe, your passive does more damage. Because it makes sense. Even though she doesn't crit, she still gets damage from buying IE. So, but for some reason, Smolder doesn't. Yeah, that's my little Smolder rant. And that's why I think he's still not good. Still not good. And then we have Ezreal. I think Ezreal still GG tier. Still GG tier. Never see him played. I think he's really, really weak. Very surprised he didn't get buffed. I think he got a little bit stronger because some of the crit items got nerfed. But I think he's still very weak. Very surprised they buffed Draven before they buffed Ezreal, to be honest. Thought they would give him some love ASAP. GG tier for Ezreal. Maybe he should be D tier with Senna. But this tier was originally created for Smolder and Ezreal, who both lost Essence Reader. So we'll keep him in GG tier for now. And then we have Caitlyn. So Caitlyn got huge changes on this patch, where she's more about attack speed now and way less about the W damage and the ult damage. And Collector IE got nerfed. But I think she's still pretty solid. I'd say she probably falls something like this, to be honest, in A tier. I think she's still good. I've seen her being played quite a bit still. The W change I think is not as massive as people think, because a lot of the time you're getting a lot of value out of your traps early game, but kind of less later on in the game. Because later on in the game, it's like if someone gets trapped, they usually die anyways, because that means that they're CC'd, and in a team fight, it's like if someone's CC'd, they usually die. And also, like, people get less trapped randomly, I'd say, in team fights later on than they do in lane, maybe. And the ult change is definitely noticeable, but the attack speed is also pretty noticeable. And she was just like, she was so OP last patch that I now think she's just like, she's, you know, she's up there, she's strong. And then we have Kalista. I think it's a B tier for me for Kalista, right next to Varus. She's okay. She's okay. She got a bit better this patch because crit items got nerfed. She doesn't use crit items. So her competition got a little bit weaker. She lost Lethal Temple last patch, so she's kind of sad about that still. I think PTA seems to be the go-to option on Kalista, but it's not as good as Lethal Temple for sure. It's a champ that, similar to Draven, if you are really good on her, you can always make her work, I think. But I think she has a way lower payoff than Draven does, and it's way harder to carry on Kalista than it is on Draven. It's harder to get the lead on Kalista than Draven, I'd say. Last but not least, Draven. So Draven actually got buffed on this patch. I think I put Draven Z tier in the last patch. Maybe I changed my mind a little bit. I think he's S tier now. I think I overrated him a little bit. But I do think he's criminally underrated right now. And it's also criminal that people lose so much on him. Like, genuinely, what are you guys doing to lose so many games on Draven? Like, how does he have a negative win rate? I think a lot of it is builds. Stop building Collector, guys. Please, I beg you. This item was made for Draven. If you played Draven back in fucking Season 5, Season 6, Season 7, you know how OP this item is on Draven. This item is so crazy. It allows you to play so aggressive. It allows you to push your limits so much harder. And it has a way better win rate. Way better win rate. Buy BT, guys. Buy BT. I beg you. So good item. So good item on Draven. Like, the Draven build I go every game is BT, IE, LDR, and then situational after that. Either Rapid Fire, Yuntal, GA, whatever I think I need for send me team. I think Draven's really fucking strong. I think Jinx is, I think, the queen, and I want to have her in a separate tier because I just feel like she's so strong. I think Draven is up there. Draven is up there. I think if everybody builds BT, the win rate should increase. The buffs he got this patch were pretty small, I think, but it makes it like a little bit nicer as you lose less stacks on def and you also get more gold per kill. And overall, I think he's just a really good champ. And me personally, whenever I play him now, I feel like it's a free win as long as my support plugs in the monitor and has the keyboard plugged in and wants to win. Sometimes that doesn't happen though, of course. But when that does happen, I feel like I always carry on the champ. And I don't think that's, I mean, I think I'm very good on Draven, of course. But I don't think that's all me, you know? Like, for me, I can feel that Draven is in a very good state. And it feels like when you snowball with Bloodthirster, you can just play so obnoxious. You can play so aggressive. You can take tower shots and then instantly heal back up on the wave. You just have so much outplay potential. It's just unreal. But so yeah, that was my patch 14.11 ADC tier list. Let me know what you guys agree and disagree with. What do you guys think? During the champion, you guys feel like I'm criminally underrated or overrated? Maybe there's some build I don't know about. Let me know.